Beginning with the next inflammatory bowel disease, and that is ulcerative colitis. Now I hope you remember the mnemonic that you had to memorize for Crohn's disease was StupireMed, whereas the mnemonic that you have to memorize for ulcerative colitis is going to be the term ulcerative colitis itself. So no fancy or no separate mnemonic that you have to remember. Just remember the term ulcerative colitis and you will know all the features of the disease. So let's begin with it, starting with the term ulcerative itself, which is very obvious that this disease is going to show the presence of ulcers. So there will be ulcers present, but not only that, along with ulcers you will see the presence of pseudopolyps. You will see the presence of pseudopolyps. Now let's first understand what exactly is happening. So if you remember that in a case of Crohn's disease, the lesions were skipping. There were skip lesions present. In ulcerative colitis, I will tell you later on in the mnemonic that the disease is continuous and it shows presence of ulcers. So as you can appreciate, if we zoom into this image, you can see that over here we have the presence of an ulcerated area. Correct? We have an ulcer that is very characteristic everywhere in between. And in between these ulcers, do you see that a part of the intestine appears to be elevated? As if it is a polyp. But is it a true polyp? No, it is not any true polyp. If one part of the intestine becomes depressed, it appears that the other part is elevated. But as such, it is not elevated. It is not a new polyp that has formed. And that is why we are referring to it as a pseudopolyp. That is just some part of the mucosa that is above the level. It is actually at the same level. But a part of the intestine has gone below the level because there is an ulcer. So when you compare the two, it appears that if one is below, then the other one is above. But that is not the case. The other one is where it was. It is right there. But there is a part which is ulcerated, so it gives a false appearance of a polyp, and that is why you call it a pseudopolyp. So remember, in ulcerative colitis, you are going to see not only ulcers, but you will see the presence of pseudopolyps. And this feature has been asked multiple times in the exam. Moving on with the next part. So remember, colitis. So C and O. C stands for continuous involvement. There is continuous involvement. Remember, Crohn's disease was skip lesions. This was continuous involvement. If you again recall, in Crohn's disease, which was the part of the intestine that is usually spared? Correct, it was the rectum. But over here, it is often rectum that is involved. Very commonly, the rectum is going to be involved. What do you further need to know in this? For example, this is what you need to see over here. If I am saying that there is continuous involvement and I am saying the rectum is also involved, so just focus on ulcerative colitis. I am going to say that this is going to begin from the rectum, continuous, and it is going to go in a backward direction. Correct? So it begins from the rectum and it is going in a backward direction. Can I say that this kind of an involvement is continuous and retrograde? It is continuous as well as retrograde. So it has started from the rectum and in a backward retrograde manner it has involved the entire colon. After that, it now starts going and involving the ileum. So in a backward manner, from the rectum, entire colon is involved, then it goes and involves the ileum. That is referred to as the backwash ileitis. That is referred to as backwash ileitis. So please remember, these are key features that you see in ulcerative colitis. Not only will there be a continuous involvement, but there will be something known as a retrograde involvement that will eventually end up resulting in backwash ileitis. Moving ahead. Now, as I told you, the mnemonic that we will be following for ulcerative colitis is the word ulcerative colitis itself. So, going on to the L, and remember, this stands for the radiological appearance, that is lead pipe appearance. It gives a characteristic lead pipe appearance, and this is how it appears. So, characteristically, you see till here, the intestine appears to be normal. But then suddenly over here there is this one long rigid pipe-like configuration. So this is going to be the lead pipe appearance. What was the appearance that you see in a case of Crohn's disease? Yes, that was the string sign, where it was like a string. It is the string sign of Cantor, whereas what is the appearance that you see in ulcerative colitis? It is the lead pipe appearance. Moving on, going on to the next part of the mnemonic. If someone asks you, what is the role of immunity in case of ulcerative colitis? So remember, the antibody is P-ANCA. The antibody is P-ANCA. Again, I want you to recall, what was the antibody in Crohn's disease? It was ASCA, that is anti-Saccharomyces cerevisiae antibody. Over here, it is P-ANCA that is going to have a role. I hope you can recall that P-ANCA was the same antibody that we also studied under small vessel vasculitis. Remember, under small vessel vasculitis, we did that ANCA is of two types, P-ANCA and C-ANCA. So there I also told you that P-ANCA can also be seen in ulcerative colitis. Moving on to the next, that is T. Now there is a very important thing known as toxic megacolon. There is a very important thing known as toxic megacolon. What do we mean by this? So for example, if this is the intestine, this is the intestine. Now I am saying that there is a problem going on, there are ulcers being formed, there are pseudopolyps being formed, so there is a pathology going on. So for example, this was the food bolus. Everyone obviously agrees that the food bolus is carrying a lot of bacterial or particles and organisms as well. Whenever we consume food, we are just not consuming food, we are also intaking a lot of bacteria from the environment. And your body is fighting against all of that continuously. But in this condition, what happens? These bacteria are going to go and damage the wall. Can the food move on properly? No, because there are ulcers, there are pseudopolyps. So the movement of the food bolus is also hampered. When the movement of food bolus slows down, when the movement of food is going to slow down, can I say that the bacteria are going to get more time to come in contact with the intestine? Correct? When the pace has slowed down, the bacteria is getting more time. This means that the bacteria will then damage the gut. Bacteria then damage the gut. And when they damage the gut, it results in the formation of toxic megacolon. It results in the formation of toxic megacolon. So what happens to the size? The size of the intestine increases. It dilates. So it is toxic because of the bacteria, and megacolon because mega means the colon is going to become bigger. Toxic megacolon. Remember, this is most commonly seen in the transverse colon. Most commonly seen in the